You have to step to the plate and just take a chance.
Hey everyone, I'm Chase, founder of Oak and Oscar. I've always loved the stories behind watches, the people who collect them, and why they collect them. Welcome to the second episode of The Watch Table. We're here today with Nick, also known as Watch Patina, to talk with him about his watches and why he loves them. Besides knowing where to find the coolest vintage watch ads, Nick is a loving father, shoe expert, and one of the most determined watch collectors that I've ever met. His love for watches is infectious, and I can't wait for you to learn more about them. Let's learn more about the story behind the watch. So, obvious question for you, why do you love watches?
I love the idea of owning an object that I can have for the rest of my life. And that's what first drew me to spending money on a watch.
Tell us about how you got this first watch.
It was 20 years ago. I was a junior in high school. I was just turned 17.
You got this watch about 20 years ago. So at the age of 16 in high school, instead of spending money on sneakers or going to the movies or whatever, you're like, I'm gonna save up and get a watch.
Well, we had friends of ours who owned nice watches, Rolex watches. It stood out. And, they were successful people. They owned their own business. To go along with that and to sort of sell myself on this idea of buying a Rolex, I noticed the advertising in magazines, and all the advertising for Rolex, it was an athlete, it was a scientist, it was somebody who was a professional, an artist, and this was the object that they chose. I think minimum wage was $5.25, so you had to work a lot of hours, after school. I had about $2,000 saved up, and there was a class trip to Paris. At the time, I wanted to get the most bang for the buck with the $2,000. So the reason I was going to purchase it in Paris versus, locally, the exchange rate was more favorable. Again, I'm young, I don't have a credit card. My mom doesn't want me to travel with all this cash.
Smart.
So luckily for me, I was sort of the teacher's pet of the art teacher, who was a chaperone. Mm-hmm. She actually took me to the boutique and paid for it with her credit card, and I paid her back when we got home. I knew so little about watches back then. I did not go to the boutique with any watch in mind, and I just was putty in the salesperson's hands.
So why did you end up with that one?
What I remember about that day was, I was standing in front of the case, and there was a salesperson, and she said, this is the watch you should get. It's the right size. I have a smaller wrist, so it's 36 millimeters. It's a dressy watch, it's a date just. I think she was trying to help me spend my money and get a very well-rounded purchase. I just, remember all the other classmates were buying t-shirts.
Chocolates.
I love Paris.
Yeah.
They were bringing back macaroons, and
Little did everyone know that that was the start of it all for you.
yeah,
So the second watch in your collection is the Explorer 2.
absolutely, yeah. We had just moved to Chicago. I remember I wanted to go back to Rolex. That's my brand. The seller was a guy named Jacek, and I remember calling him up. I saw the watch, I saw the pictures, the photographs looked awesome, and it had box and papers. It looked in great condition. I remember going to the bank and wiring money. It was the first time I wired money, and it came to the house. That was my second watch.
What drew you to this watch in particular?
It's a great question, because it's one of those purchases where I was just buying it based on, I like the way it looks, it's a good price.
But I think that's something that's actually really important to consider, is the fact that nowadays with so much visual stimulation with watches, that really the bottom line is buy it because you love it. So talk to me a little bit more about the Speedmaster.
So searching the internet, this popped up on Craigslist. What's cool about hunting watches is you're buying them from the family most of the time. And the people that are selling them are not watch people. They happen to own a great watch. And the fact that it was, through a person I didn't know, mm-hmm. I didn't want to just send money.
Sure.
And you have to step to the plate and just take a chance. I knew I had to go get this watch. So I booked a ticket on Southwest. I flew out the next day, landed, had an envelope with cash. I got on the phone with him, and he guided me through the airport to where he was. Chatted with him about his watch. It's one of the reasons I like hunting watches and buying them from families is you get learn a little bit about the person who owned it. Buying them this way allows me to have the story about the watch. I get the story about hunting the watch and finding the watch.
Sure.
And now I have the story where it picks up with me owning the watch.
Yeah.
So, you know, finding watches this way is really fulfilling to me.
So tell me about your Sanford.
Yeah, the Sanford is the watch that I wear the most. This is the watch that I chose to wear when we were going to be induced. You know, I made a conscious decision to wear this watch because knowing that, you know, that the timepiece that was on my wrist for our stay in the hospital, that's what watches are for me. The ups and downs of life, wearing them on your wrist, and you look at them and they bring back memories.
And just hearing you recount that story, that gives me the feels, man. Well, on that note, let's keep going through your collection.
Sure.
Talk to me about this pretty little guy, the Explorer 2 as well.
Yeah. I remember, you know, I had an advertisement out that I buy old watches, and my email, my phone number, people can get in contact with me. And I remember being at work one day, and it was late at night, leaving work, and I got an email that said, you know, I have a Rolex Explorer 1655. It would look nice in your collection. And it was just a very, you know, this is how all these emails come across. It's very like short, not too much information, very vague. You don't know if it's a scam. You don't know if it's, you know, a collector that just got tired of a watch. It looked authentic. I have the Explorer 2, the modern. Explorers are my model. What was cool about this is that he was actually local. I found out through our email was his grandfather's.
Okay.
His grandfather worked at a bank as a retirement. He had an option to pick a few watches from a catalog. It's a family heirloom, and you know, you have to step to the plate and like, am I gonna buy this watch or am I not gonna buy this watch? Am I gonna get hung up on, oh my God, it doesn't have the original hands, the 40-year-old hands or whatever. Just take a chance, you feel the situation out, and it felt right to me, and I bought it, and I have zero regrets.
It's a beautiful piece, absolutely. So do your friends know about your watch addiction?
They do, yeah. My friends from college that I still keep in touch with, they know. It comes with the package. It's hard to separate myself from watches. I mean,
Sure. So what is your favorite watch? If you had to sell them all except for one, which one would you keep?
Well, I would keep the Datejust, my first. This is the watch that I'd be broke and divorced in a cardboard box on the street. I'd still have this watch on. Like,
Perfect.
I wouldn't let this go. It means, you know, it's
Yeah.
20 years. This is the ultimate keeper, is that watch. My favorite watch to wear right now is the Sanford. Again, it's the right size. I love the complication. It's interesting to look at. It's comfortable. I can wear it year round. I can do anything in it.
That actually brings me to a quick point. You only wear certain watches in certain seasons, right?
Well, there's just one watch that I put away for the warmer months, and that's my Explorer 2.
So that's only a winter watch.
It's fall, winter. I like it to be sub 60 degrees Fahrenheit when I wear that watch,
I love that.
ideally.
So talk to me a little bit more about watch advertising, because I know you do a lot of hunting for watch ads, because that is a whole nother world
Sure.
of watch collecting, but in its own right, as crazy.
So I said to myself, you know, how can I contribute to the watch community? And it started with writing about watches. I was very much into the story behind a watch. More recently, it's reconnecting with old ads. And I get the same thrill out of finding a rare old ad as I would finding a rare old watch. And I just thought to myself, you know, I think I've got something really cool here. It's a historical document, it's art. I think the ads, for me, help to maintain sort of the innocence of watches. Watches have opened up a lot of doors for me. I've not only been able to meet a lot of, you know, great people, but it's the vehicle that has helped a lot of relationships form. And I think that's what's really cool about watches.
Very cool. So tell me about your Burnham.
So the Burnham is a watch that is an example of the watch community and how much it has impacted my life in a positive way. I really liked the story behind it. The fact that, your story about, working to pursue your passion and wanting to have a job where you could be closer to your family, those are all things I admired. And I wanted to have something on my wrist and have something in my collection that, maybe 10 or 20 years from now, I'll have this watch and I'll be able to have really great memories of all the people I met.
So tell me a little bit about the Omega Seamaster here that we love.
Yeah, that is a really cool watch. I can honestly say that I knew of the old Seamasters, but knew nothing about them. Someone had reached out to me and said, I have an uncle that passed away. He left me some watches. Are you interested? I instantly recognized that what was before me was something significant. This is a reference 2913, the original Seamaster. And much like the Explorer 2, it was local. And it just astonishes me when you think that there are no more good watches to be found and you think they've all been uncovered. In my own backyard, there's a 2913 and a Seamaster 300 and there's a 1655 Explorer 2. You have to just keep grinding away and keep hunting, and you just never know when you're gonna get a message, an opportunity. You have to be in the game to get lucky, and then it's just reeling it in.
Tell me about this one.
So this Explorer 1 is my wife's. Everything you want to find in somebody to spend the rest of your life with, to have family with, to raise a child with. She's that person, and I wanted to get her an Explorer 1. I had an Explorer 2 at the time, and I thought it would be cool to have kind of a his and hers. It goes back to the couple that my mom and I knew. They had his and hers watches.
So we're doing something a little different with the watch table. Just a quick little fun segment at the end. And Rob, don't worry, we'll give you your chance if you want to come back and do this. But ask a couple rapid fire questions and something else special at the very end. But first question, what superpower would you have?
Ooh, I was thinking you were going to ask me a watch question. Superpower, time travel, if that's considered a superpower.
Watch related, okay. Second question, if you could live anywhere, where would it be?
Brooklyn.
Third, what's your favorite complication?
GMT.
Okay. Who would win in a fight, Brady or Gronk?
Although Brady's the GOAT, it would go to Gronk. I don't know if Brady's plyometrics is gonna be an advantage in that situation.
Okay. What's your favorite swear word?
Fudge. I don't swear that much. I make a sweet word out of it.
Last question is, how many straps are in this jug? And the reason, let me preface this, that we're asking this question is for twofold, really. One, it's fun. But two, we're gonna ask everybody the same question. Rob, again, you'll get a chance. And whomever's closest, we're going to donate to their charity of preference.
Okay.
And we're also gonna do something fun as well for the watchfam community. When we post this on Instagram, specifically the episodes that we're going to announce the numbers on here, we'll give everybody the shot to take a guess as well, and we'll have a fun little prize for the winner there too. So take a guess. How many nylon straps are in there?
I'll say 140.
140, guys. Okay.
My guess.
Well, with that, I say cheers. Thank you very much for coming to the watch table. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. It was fun.